Albert Einstein is regarded as the greatest mathematical physicist and one of the greatest scientists of all time. He was born in Ulm, Germany in 1879. At the age of 10, he set up a program of study for himself, reading extensively about science. He also studied violin and piano, establishing a love of music that would carry into his adulthood. At the age 17, he graduates high school and took admission in Federal Institute of Technology, Zurich, Switzerland. In 1905, he was awarded a PhD by the University of Zurich. In 1905, he published five papers, including the one containing his famous equation E is equal to mc square, in which he explained that energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Formula was derived due to the Einstein's realization of how closely the energy and mass of a body is connected. This formula suggested that this tiny amount of mass can be converted into the huge amount of energy. This idea was then used by Oppenheimer to construct the atomic bomb. The other papers included photoelectric effect, the Brownian motions, and the one about special theory of relativity, which proved very defining for the Einstein's career and changed the course of study of physics. In 1921, he won the Nobel Prize for explanation of the photoelectric effect, since his idea of theory of relativity was still considered questionable. Einstein's assertions were then affirmed by the observation and measurement by the British astronomer Sir Frank Dyson and Sir Arthur Eddington during 1919 solar eclipse, and thus a global science icon was born. The photoelectric effect is a phenomenon where the electrons are emitted from the metal surface when the light of sufficient frequency is incident upon. The concept of photoelectric effect was first documented in 1885 by Hendrik Hertz and later in 1902 by Leonard. But both the observation of photoelectric effect could not be explained by the Maxwell electromagnetic wave theory. The concept failed in following accounts. According to wave theory, energy is uniformly distributed across the wavefront and is dependent only on the intensity of the beam. This implies that the kinetic energy of the electron increases with the light intensity. However, that was not the case. The kinetic energy was independent of the light intensity. Wave theory says that the light of any frequency should be capable of ejecting the electrons, but the electron emission occurred only for the fewer frequencies that were larger than the threshold frequency. Einstein resolved this problem using Planck's revolutionary idea that the light was a particle. This energy carried by each particle of light is dependent on the light's frequency and not the intensity. The result was shown in form of E is equal to hv, where h was Planck's constant. Now, since the light is bundled up into photons, Einstein theorized that when a photon falls on the surface of a metal, the entire photon is transferred to the electron. A part of this energy is used to remove the electron from the metal atom's grasp, and the rest is given to the ejected electron as a kinetic energy. Electron emitted from the underneath metal surface lose some kinetic energy during the collision, but the surface electron carry all the kinetic energy that is imparted by the photon and have the maximum kinetic energy. We can write this mathematically as E is equal to W plus Ke, where W is the energy required to eject an electron, whereas Ke is the maximum kinetic energy of an electron. At the threshold frequency V0, Electrons are just ejected and they do not have any kinetic energy. So, below this frequency, there is no electron emission, and thus the energy of the photon with this frequency must be the work function of the metal, and we can display it as W is equal to HV naught. Insanity is doing same thing over and over again and expect different results. Only those who can attempt the absurd can do impossible. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. We act as though comfort and luxury were the chief requirements of the life. All we need to make us happy is something to be enthusiastic about. Most people say that it's the intellect that make a scientist successful. They are wrong. It's the character. Education is not about learning facts, but about training mind to think. If you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. The only way to escape the corruptible effect of praise is to go on working. The most beautiful thing we can experience is mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination.